Good evening and welcome to the Marshall Arena here in Milton Keynes for the Kazoo British Open. Straight knockout format, best of 7 frames, and 7 out of the top 16 competing tonight. Let's welcome our players on to the TV table. Up first is the Swiss #1, Alexander Ursenbacher, and joining him, it's the reigning world #1, the Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Have a good game. Have a good game. Want a call? Tails.
Of course, it's our mission statement
Your break.
to keep you up to date with all 4 tables this evening. But centre stage, here's Ronnie O'Sullivan. Has to be. Alexander Ursenbacher, mind you, will provide stern opposition. And having been beaten O'Sullivan twice before, he might be a little intimidated, but he will not be overawed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The first frame. Alexander Ursenbacher to break.
The referee for this one is Colin Humphreys. It's a race to 4.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Ursenbacher has saved his best snooker for top players like O'Sullivan. One of those wins, as we've been saying, was in the UK Championship, and that's a very big tournament on the main tour. Second only, in some people's opinion, to the World Championships itself. So it's nice to know you can beat the great man.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 4.
There's an early mistake. I thought Ronnie looked pretty good in the mixed doubles over the weekend. He started winning table time in the match that mattered by a very good Mark Selby. Rebecca Kenner, who basically kept him cold. So we're not going to judge him on losing those matches.
Well, that was a good start. Throughout his professional career, Ursenbacher has been one of those players who is wildly inconsistent. He's best, he's very good. And then he has barren spells where he can't buy a win. But if he hits form, he could beat anyone.
I think a lot of this game is played in the mind.
7.
And clearly you've got to be good enough in the first place, but some players play their best snooker away from the glare, you know, in a qualifier in front of not many people, and don't play to that same level on TV. I think Alex is the reverse. I think he's a confident individual. And he relishes the battle. May have gone slightly wrong there. Don't know if he can get to the pink. Don't think he can. I think it's an occasion playing O'Sullivan, isn't it? And some people embrace it, others don't.
Brown ball. Alexander Ursenbacher, 8.
One thing you've got to do against O'Sullivan is score. That was an opportunity
8.
that went astray.
Yeah, played to nudge that red a little bit more of it than he did, and then he did it on the pink. right behind the line, and that's beautiful cueing. You know,
What?
to pot it with that sort of accuracy at that pace and all that screw back on the ball. I think sometimes the low angle shortens the difficulty of the shot and makes it look as if the balls are closer than they are. Great shot.
He's working with a mind coach after what was a very poor season last time around.
6.
He won a group in the Championship League. He got to 3 last 64s, English Open, UK Championship and Turkish Masters. And that was about all he did.
Seven.
He's 63rd in the world rankings, Alexander Ursenbacher, and only the top 64 at the end of the season retain their cards. Now, I know it's a little bit too early, Neil, to start talking about relegation pressures, but it will be on his mind where he is. And a good run in one of these tournaments, maybe here, would be manna from heaven to alleviate that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a positive slant on that if you want to find it. A good season this season. You won't have so many points coming off from what was a poor campaign, as you explained last time around. So, a good season, he'd be in a position of strength, losing very few points at the end of the term. It's a 2-year ranking list, and the points come
14.
off 2 years after they were put on, basically, on a rolling list. So there's always the chance to turn things around, isn't there?
Well, there's certainly been signs of encouragement early this season. He finished second in his group in the Championship League, denied only by Ronnie O'Sullivan, actually. He lost 5-4 in the European Masters first round to Anthony McGill. And he has qualified for the Northern Ireland Open, beating Mark Joyce 4-0. Oh, and that's worked out
21.
nicely.
Beautiful shot. Really got some zip on the cue ball there. He looks the part out there, doesn't he, Ursenbacher? Doesn't look out of place. Looks as if he belongs on the big stage.
$27. $28.
I seem to remember Michael Holt on 3 consecutive occasions, one season beating Ronnie O'Sullivan. And I guess it helps if you've done it before.
$34. $35.
Well, he won't be inconvenienced by the black being tied up and the red next to it, because all of that is O'Sullivan's problem. If he ever comes back to the table, currently 53 behind and counting.
41. $42.
So far this evening, two members of the famed class of 92 are taking a back
48.
seat. O'Sullivan hasn't potted a ball yet. Neither John Higgins on table 2. Andy Hicks is going to take the first frame
49.
over there with a century. There's Hicks, just missing the green.
55.
Nevertheless, starting off very nicely with a break of 110. And here, this is frame ball.
56.
Very encouraging start, this. It's been a good break because he's had to take
62.
reds and pinks for the most part, and that's not easy to be on that ball all the time. Black's been completely tied up all the way through, and the break continues. Well, he could make a century, but I tell you, it would be some break if he did where the balls are now.
Well, if he does make a century, it would be his third of this season.
68.
And all last season, he made just 3.
69.
So clearly, he's back in some kind of form after what was a terrible campaign, bouncing back.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 69.
Just taking the opportunity, O'Sullivan, to knock in a few balls, as he so often does.
One. Seven. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7.
Neil, no realistic hope of winning the frame, of course not, even though he's a genius. But this is his modus operandi now, isn't it? He said that he often uses frames like this as a means of match table practice.
He had that spell where he was just playing on in every frame when the frames were over, but that got a little bit annoying because frames were just dragging on. But often any player will, in the first frame, take the opportunity to have a few shots.
One.
Normally, you would say that's that. But of course, the way O'Sullivan thinks, if Ursenbacher misses here, he might come back to the table again.
Three. 5.
Can tell you, Kyron Wilson has taken the first frame against Mark Davis. Wilson, of course, looking for back-to-back
8.
ranking titles, having won the European Masters in Germany last month.
12. 17. 23.
Last season was an unrelenting struggle for Ursenbacher. The evidence on the first frame suggests Alexander could now be back to being great. Alexander Ursenbacher, the first player from Switzerland to play at the Crucible, leads the Crucible King by 1-0. There's one member of the crowd who will be extremely proud of what she's seen in the first frame. That is Florenza, Alexander's mother, who's watching him tonight for the first time. She arrived and surprised her son.
Just about his first mistake, and that safety shot hitting a ball on the way back up the table, so easy to do, even though they feel that the balls are even wider than they are when you're trying to avoid them.
What? Six. Par. 6. Ronnie O'Sullivan. 4. Alexander Ursenbacher.
Couldn't avoid going into the black. That was the problem, because he didn't get on the red perfectly. Here it is. Just misjudged the cannon on the black. I mean, he wouldn't have been on anything had the cue ball stayed near the left corner. But it's worse going in off with the red in the bulk area.
One. 6. Seven. Cheers.
Well, that's not a great shot. I mean, he's on the black, yes, but he didn't want to be playing at a slightly tricky angle. Wanted to be right behind the black. Straighter. Didn't cause him a major problem, though.
$14. $15.
He's shown lots of perseverance throughout his career, Ursenbacher. Originally turned pro in 2013, but he's not been an ever-present on the tour. Twice he's come through Q School.
20.
On another occasion in 2017, he gained his tour card by winning the European Under-21 Championship.
21.
Has been to the semi-final of a world ranking event, though, the 2017 English Open. A couple of years after that, Northern Ireland Open quarter-finalist. He's got pedigree, Neil.
Played very well in the English Open.
28.
I remember the match where he beat Sean Murphy very heavily.
29.
And he looks to be playing somewhere near that form at the moment. This is just a couple of frames we're seeing, but he's looking okay.
36.
More work to be done here, though. This is a little tricky. Starting up for the black.
37.
Little nudge here on the four reds, I think. As the middle one goes, that's the only way around that, and it does. It goes through the gap.
44.
Again, the three reds on the left of the table he's happy to see there. There is insurance against any sort of a comeback from O'Sullivan. Win the frame with what's in the middle of the table.
$45.
Interesting shot selection. Clearly it wasn't the right one. I think he changed his mind initially and ended up playing that. Whatever he was thinking of it first up would have been better.
Everyone knows O'Sullivan's reputation for clearances, so he's being sensible, taking his time, working out the options.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 45.
But as Neil said, where the balls are, even O'Sullivan would be extended to win from here in a single visit.
I think the natural safety shot from the left side goes into the three reds, so he'll be doing everything he can to avoid that. Well, this is just a glimmer of a chance, I think, for O'Sullivan. got a shot here to get the 3 reds open. It would be some shot from the cushion. Deciding to play up the table, but there are plenty of reasons why it would be very difficult to clear up here.
Five. Six.
Might have had a glimpse there of John Higgins, who dominated the second frame to equalise against Andy Hicks at 1-1. Went for the big shot, tried to open up the
Ronnie
reds,
6.
but the black refused to drop.
Yeah, it didn't look great, did it? But he didn't have a sizable angle on the black, and that's why he had to hit it so hard. You can see it's just off straight, and of course balls flying everywhere. We don't associate that with the class of O'Sullivan, that sort of shot. Well, they're both at it now. That was equally as reckless or so clumsy, I guess. Now the reds have opened up a little bit. Okay, Sullivan is a good deal behind, but I think you might sense there's a win in this frame.
1.
It's an early moment where things could start to turn.
Scores of players have discovered to their cost that you can't give O'Sullivan any invitation whatsoever. But he's not with it so far.
7.
Balls are being missed.
One.
Well, if he pots the colour here, then he's going to need one of the safer reds. Chance to get on the red up in bulk from the pink off the cushion.
Alexander Ursenbacher.
Crowd
1.
have found their voice all of a sudden. This frame is more in the balance than it's been from the start.
One.
What O'Sullivan has got in his favour is his ability to play left-handed. If he wants to land in behind the red, he could try and move it. Well, that was a long way out. I'm a little surprised.
3.
Played to screw onto the red and move it down the cushion. I think it's all about pace, and if you hit it a little too much pace, the screw that you put on doesn't really take.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 3.
Well, now the table is a lot more conducive to a clearance. If Ursenbacher makes a mistake on the last red, it could be very costly.
Foul. Alexander Ursenbacher.
Instead,
4.
Neil, the mistake is made by
Free
O'Sullivan.
ball.
Yeah, free ball. I mean, one thing getting the safer
Green
balls
ball.
out, the pink and the brown ball, but in doing so, leaving a free ball, knocking the brown in. So a free ball means you can play any ball on the table, counts as one when there's a red on, and you can take another colour after it.
Come on, Ronnie.
Wow, this frame refuses to end. They got lucky there, Ursenbacher. Fluke to snooker, it seems. Balls are flying around all over the place here.
Foul.
Goodness me.
Alexander Ursenbacher.
Now all of a
4.
sudden O'Sullivan can't even win. Some frustration in these shots, I think.
Exactly what I was just going to say, Neil. It's obvious to me he's whacking these balls around because he's not happy in the slightest.
Ursenbacher was good for his...
1.
Was going to be a 2-0 lead. But he needed a little bit of help in
Black ball.
the latter part of this frame. So far, and I've watched both of the matches which Ursenbacher beat O'Sullivan,
8.
he's taken a very similar pattern, this match, to the other two.
10.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more when Ursenbacher beat O'Sullivan in the UK Championship. Mistakes from
13.
both abounded.
$17.
Well, in the first frame, he was the
22.
Swiss who didn't miss. But in this frame, he's made lots of mistakes and not been made to pay for them. It's been a scruffy old frame, but that won't concern Ursenbacher in the slightest.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 22 and a frame.
One thing we know from the first two frames here, Alexander Ursenbacher has got the great chance to cause an upset. Ronnie O'Sullivan needs a wholesale improvement. It hasn't been a day of
Alexander Ursenbacher to
upsets.
break.
wholesale. We've seen Sean Murphy go out, yes. But if Ronnie O'Sullivan were to depart in the first round, now that would be a major story.
One. One.
Just not quite going far enough. With already played on the other side of the blue. It's in between playing it in the corner or the middle.
Seven.
I took a risk there, and I don't know, he may be on one. Perhaps only the red up into the green pocket. Not easy, because he's got to play to run through. Balls are close together. He's just got to be a little bit careful not to play a push shot. Perhaps the balls are far enough apart to avoid that. Certainly no push shot. Well, I think right now he's feeling pretty good about things. And those memories of those wins against O'Sullivan are the forefront of his mind.
You don't know where to look tonight. Andy Hicks on table 2. Just knocked in the black for a 143 total clearance. That's the highest break of the tournament so far. Hicks 2-1 up on John Higgins. Two of the game's giants finding opponents in tip-top form. Let me quickly tell you on table 4. No sign of an upset there. Jack Lazowski has smoothly taken a 2-0 lead over Dominic Dale.
Well, this red looks very tight. We saw it. I think he can get through to the potting angle. Well, he certainly could get through.
16. Alexander Ursenbacher.
Now, let's see what kind of shape O'Sullivan's in. This was the shot, just hit the near jaw. Showing signs of frustration in the previous frame. No change. At the moment, it's a far cry from the way that he really knuckled down to win his 7th world title. over 2.5 weeks. He put everything he had into that, rolled his sleeves up at times. Played brilliantly, but also had to work hard. You can't turn it on like a tap at this game.
There's a ways to go yet, but O'Sullivan losing in the first round of a ranking event is rather unusual. It happens occasionally. Happened twice last season. First was in the German Masters, although he shot selections against Hossein Vafai, losing 5-0. Suggested he was just there to try and pot a few. Didn't seem to have his heart fully in the task, let's put it that way. And he also lost to Ben Wollaston in the first round of the Gibraltar Open, 4-3.
Yeah, I mean, Vafai played well in the match, but I'll give you an example of the point you're making, Phil. One frame, O'Sullivan potted one off the break. So you can work it out that if you're doing that, then you're giving him a bit of a whack.
Worrying aspect for O'Sullivan, well, there's several. One is that Ursenbacher's 2 previous victories over him both came via comeback. Alexander was 2-1 down in the Welsh Open, won 4-2. He was 5-4 down in the UK Championship in 2020, won 6-5. And O'Sullivan there taking on a very speculative double and leaving the red to middle. The signs, Neil, are not good at all if you're an O'Sullivan fan.
One.
Well, this time the cue ball runs into a place where nothing is available. And he needs to keep O'Sullivan at arm's length because we know that he's not playing well, but you don't want to gift him anything and bring the form back in that he's got. He claims to have been working hard at his game. Don't want to open the door for him at all.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 1.
I think he's left him this. I think if O'Sullivan will find it hard not to go for this long red. Maybe to run through, get on the blue. What a shot, that's the best he's hit for a mile. That's a better shot than it looked to screw up directly for the red.
6.
Needs an angle on his next colour and starts to get to develop some of the reds in the bunch at the first chance.
7.
And that will happen at this shot. Now this is key. Goodness me, surely he's on one, is he there?
12.
Maybe the bottom one. Yeah, but it's not nice. Playing it with lots of running side around the table to get out of colour.
13.
Not bad.
Was that sublime opening red the catalyst we've been waiting for?
18.
And maybe Ursenbacher has been dreading. I'm still not entirely convinced.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 18.
Just had that vibe, didn't it, that break? It was all a struggle.
One.
And that's not too bad at all. To go around the back of the yellow was hard to predict. Pink and black are in play, or certainly the pink is, but he can't quite get into a position to pot it until he moves the red that's to the left of the pink. And he's trying to line that one up. It would open things up a little bit if he could play on that red.
Come on, Ron. Alexander Ursenbacher, 1.
And it was a good chance. It wasn't a very difficult blue. He was doing something with the cue ball. But really, you'd fancy him to pot those all day long.
One. Seven. Eight.
Now Sullivan, not only a consummate entertainer, as he's got older, he's become a fearsome competitor. In his early days, when he wasn't playing well, he was susceptible to defeat. These days, a lot more able to try and make the most of his B game. Or even C game.
15.
Just lining up where he could land on the right-hand red. Just a fraction below the pink spot.
21. 22.
Two of the three reds
29.
remaining will be enough for O'Sullivan to finally get a frame on the board.
30. $37.
Little double take at the scores just to remind himself of that. This is frame ball. So he's got something to work with now. Maybe just settling into his game. Ursenbacher missing a bad blue. Or else the damage could have been substantial at 3-0.
45. Foul. 45, Ronnie O'Sullivan for Alexander Ursenbacher.
Well, he fouled the yellow, but with the red off the table, I think that should be the end of frame.
Frame, yep. Frame, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Yeah, Ursenbacher looked at the scoreboard. Took a while to work out the mathematics, but in the end he realised he was too far behind. And so Ronnie O'Sullivan, rather belatedly, has a frame on the board. Ronnie O'Sullivan is out of the arena at the moment, so that gives me the opportunity to give you the outside table scores. Andy Hicks, with a pair of centuries, including a 1-4-3, the highest break of the tournament, leads John Higgins 2-1. Jack Lazowski's 2-0 up on Dominic Dale. And Kyron Wilson looking good against Mark Davis. 2-0 up in the balls in the third frame. Kyron had a well-documented gripe last season about not being on table 1 enough. So I don't know what he's making of being on table 3. He's certainly accepting it and getting on with the job. Before the meat of this frame, let me tell you, significant ranking implications on this. If Ronnie O'Sullivan were to win this match, he would be guaranteed to be world number 1, going to the next world ranking event, the Northern Ireland Open. If he were to lose this match, and Judd Trump were to capture the title, Judd Trump, at the end of this tournament, would be the new world number 1. He would take over from O'Sullivan by 1,000 points. Now there's the man who doesn't like being on the outside tables, Kyron Wilson. Out in the sticks tonight.
Yeah, I mean, since you said it, he's even further away from the match table. You can barely see him over there. Although he is winning, and really, I guess that's all that matters. Playing well. You know, I think, listen, players in the game will have to accept one thing, that they're not going to get on the match table if Mr. O'Sullivan is in town, because he has earned the right to be playing on the show table. People want to watch him. Simple as that.
It's akin to Tiger Woods at the 150th Open Championship this year at St Andrews. On the Friday, it was patently obvious he was going to miss the cut, and yet we watched every shot he played, and there was still a massive gallery following him around. Certain players have that mystique, and the Rocket is one of them.
Well, this is 2 minutes of shot time. This is a long while to be deliberating over a shot. He's not in an impossible snooker or the like. The red on the right is in play, you see. If he played safe off the bunch, he could crash into that. Now he's playing the two-cushion glance off the bunch, or he's thinking about it. 2.5 minutes, and he's playing a little glance off the bunch. And it's worth the wait. It's quite a good shot. Not perfectly played, but well enough.
You were there, Neil, when Mark Selby took 6 minutes on one shot, I recall.
Yeah, I mean, that was an example of a player having a complete brain fade at the table. He just could not think of a shot. He was a long way in front. I think he was 66 in front with 67 on, and he could see every red. But he just stopped watching and couldn't think what to do.
Now there's someone who has to think quickly. The great jockey, Hayley Turner, in the front row. Big Ronnie O'Sullivan fan.
Smattering over there next door, Phil, because John Higgins has drawn level. Andy Hicks has been scoring big in that match anyway. It's very interesting. Our match is boiling up nicely as well, isn't it? Just some glimmers of O'Sullivan just playing okay here now. I think he was frustrated earlier. Didn't let it really bother him. Most of the time now he's beyond that stage. He knuckles down, as I said. I think he's come to accept that you just can't play well all the time. Sometimes you've just got to ease yourself into matches.
Six. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 6.
Well, again, when O'Sullivan misses a black off the spot, it's a surprise. I think he wanted just a little flick on the red. That was in his mind. Not making excuses, but I think that's part of the reason why he missed.
I think early on his concentration wasn't the best. Seems to me as though he's into the match now. He's involved. He's not in the groove, but he's involved. So close.
Well, the pink covering the left side of the bunch, but he can get through to the right side. And odd look about it. The reds could possibly end up coming towards the black. Often the case in O'Sullivan, he doesn't let those things, doesn't like to get dragged into all that, but here it just might do. Just checking to make sure there's nothing in the way of a plant in the bunch.
Just the faintest of rubs. He avoids the blue. That almost gets the cue ball in behind the brown. Colin Humphreys, the referee. It's an intense experience when you're refereeing on television, especially so when you're under the glare and O'Sullivan is playing. We talked about concentration a while ago. Referees can't afford to let it slip at all.
Played some good safety shots in this little exchange at Ursenbacher, put O'Sullivan in trouble. Very unlike him to play that shot, but I don't think he had any other way of stopping any contact with the red. Touching ball would be something Ursenbacher would be happy with.
Touching ball.
Which means he can play well away from all of this. Somewhere where he left the cue ball last time would be handy. Although you get the feeling O'Sullivan, if chance came, would drop into the bunch again, so bit of a stalemate potentially. And where he put the cue ball last time, covered the red on over the right corner. Surely there's not a gap between them. There is. There's a gap. That is just a ball's width, and that is enough to get through there. You couldn't make that gap. I think we've got the best view. It definitely goes through there to the red, with not much room on either side, I might add.
One.
I think that if you're running the game and you're not sure if the ball will pop behind the line of it, what we saw there was the bird's eye view.
O'Sullivan couldn't disguise his frustration when he wasn't on the black. But even in the
Ronnie
midst
O'Sullivan.
of that,
One.
he's demonstrated discipline, and that's really important.
Thank you.
To make sure that a red doesn't go towards the black here. I'm going to play the bottom one, so that's not going to happen. So Again, though, it's a very good shot from Ursenbacher. He is putting O'Sullivan under that cushion. Best place to leave him, I suppose. Oh, here we go.
Foul. Alexander Ursenbacher, 7.
As soon as the red was moving towards the black, you knew the ultimate outcome. At least the frame's opened up now, Neil.
Yeah, but what do you do here if you're Alex Ursenbacher? I mean, you don't want to play from here, really. But if you put O'Sullivan in, he's likely to knock the red in. It's not easy, this one he's forced to take on. It's just one of those strange situations there that you didn't know what to do for the best. Play yourself, put your opponent in. Of course, you kick yourself, you put him in, knocks the red in and clears up.
Yes, a scenario that's happened far more often than you might imagine.
Well, he looks like he's seen a plant that has gone so far undiscovered. Certainly likes the look of it.
He needed cover once the plant had been missed, and there was very little likelihood. Now, what can Ursenbacher do? Made breaks of 69 and 45 in winning the first 2 frames. Can he strap on his scoring boots again? Just seems to be a little bit of tension in the cue arm now, understandably so.
Four. Five.
Just behind Alexander Ursenbacher, John Higgins at the table. He's already made a century. He's going to lead Andy Hicks 3-2.
Yeah, and Hicks has already made 2 himself. It's a terrific game of snooker there. This one's very intriguing as well. He's just not quite in this break, Ursenbacher. He's had to play a few good little shots. Another one where he's queuing awkwardly here. He's got to play one shot to get him right back in amongst them. Goodness, that is close, and Colin Humphries, if he plays this red, will have a very close look here to make sure there's no push. The red and the cue ball are very close together here, so this is one where he's got to be careful not to play a push shot.
While he's still deciding, the Higgins break ended at 1-3-2. The quality on table 2, undeniable.
Couldn't have played it better. Excellent. Well, he took a long while over this, and you can see why. He had to get the
20.
Execution of the shot, bang on.
21. 28. 29. 36. 37.
O'Sullivan looks in trouble to me. Remember, Ursenbacher has the knowledge that he's beaten O'Sullivan before, twice. He's worked out the template. And now he's getting ever closer to being
44.
just one frame away from a hat-trick of victories over the Rocket.
$45.
No doubt, Neil, a
51.
very interested spectator will be Joe O'Connor, who plays the winner of this in the last 64.
He's got a bit more work to do, though, hasn't he, with these reds placed in the way they are. In some ways, it's a good thing because Sullivan will find it very difficult to clear, but he's got to pot some more himself yet.
Come on, Ronnie.
51.
Someone shouted
Alexander
out, "Come on, Ronnie,"
Ursenbacher.
but there's nothing much to go at here. Caught the right-hand jaw. Well, that's a serious mistake, but like I say, very unappealing, uninviting table to provide a counter-attack from.
1. Eight. 9.
Grazed the near jaw. Sometimes that can be an issue, but at that pace it was always going to accept the red.
So again, Sullivan likely to play this shot left-handed.
16.
Shot in which he's very good at. Now he just, while he has a little look at Whoever's on that cue ball, referee Colin Humphries. O'Sullivan probably would like to leave an angle on the black to remove the right-hand red, the red on the other cushion. Yeah, just come into shot now, that one. And then all of a sudden, the yellow would be the problem ball, not much else. Looking a bit further down the line, of course. Well, that's the problem in the
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
immediate future.
16.
Trying to land himself the perfect angle to move the red. Forgot the obvious bit.
Yeah, the second time he's played left-handed. Tried to pot a red to that pocket and overcut it. That one, though, was a really big surprise. For Ursenbacher, O'Sullivan's miss was a pleasant surprise, but he's not dropped ideally there.
For a second, Phil, I wasn't even sure that red was going to reach the pocket. And he'll need a colour and a further red. So once again, he's not quite putting these frames away.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 1.
Well, not done much there. All he's done is made sure that O'Sullivan will move the safe red. Black's not even been put safe, so that he hasn't really hurt O'Sullivan with that last shot. Not sure quite how this frame is still live, but it is. Ursenbacher should have won it already. That is a brilliant pot. That's the best of the night for me. Queuing awkwardly. Fabulous queuing.
It's one of the best frame ball pots
and a frame.
you're likely to see this week. Then Ursenbacher plays the snooker. O'Sullivan's had enough. He conceded. Alexander Ursenbacher from Rheinfelden in Switzerland leads the Rocket 3-1. Welcome back to the Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes. What a night of snooker, the first night of the Kazoo British Open. On tables 3 and 4, Jack Lisowski 3-1 up on Dominic Dale, nicely in the balls. Kyron Wilson, he's 3-0 up on Mark Davis. As for table 2, brilliant stuff. And I use that word advisedly. Andy Hicks with 2 centuries, including a 1-4-3, the highest of the tournament so far, led 2-1. He was well in front in the 4th frame. Also, Higgins cleared up. And since then, Neil, he's gone from strength to strength. He's on a 63 break at the moment. He's been a couple of pots of wrapping this up and winning 4-2.
Yep, he's been very good, Higgins, because he's, as you say, had to be. Andy Hicks playing well again. So, is history going to repeat itself here with Ursenbacher 2-0 up on O'Sullivan on head-to-heads in ranking events? And looking as if he's going to win again, although 3-1, on the brink. He's shown a few signs of sort of not being able to get over the line in frames. Ronnie will have to pick up on that, but he'll have to up his game as well. Seen it before where he's sometimes gone into the mode where he's not interested, but I don't think tonight you can say that about O'Sullivan. He just hasn't played well. He looks fully committed to it. Meanwhile, the man you were speaking about, John Higgins, just goes on and on, knocking everything in.
17-9.
The match is over there because there's multiple snookers.
80.
Andy Hicks has barely missed the ball, but he's going to lose the match. Amazing.
It looks like 4 centuries in a best of 7 that hasn't gone the distance.
87.
87 the break from Higgins so far as Ursenbacher arrives back in the arena.
Thank you, frame 5. Alexander Ursenbacher to break.
You might have heard the applause. Higgins did win by 4 frames to 2.
Well, you can get through to the red.
1.
That came as a bit of a surprise, I think.
Now then,
8. Yeah. Okay. 9.
throughout snooker history, even the greats have bogey players who make a habit of beating them. As they discussed at the top of the programme, Jill and Stephen Hendry, Mark Johnston Allen made a habit of beating Hendry. Ursenbacher could be doing the same against O'Sullivan.
$16. 17.
Yes, this shot might tell us a lot more about that, because knocking the black in, opening up the reds, could create a match-winning chance.
The result's some way off here still, but not on table 4.
24.
I can tell you Jack Lazowski has defeated Dominic Dale by 4 frames to 1. There they are. They practice together quite often, so that match played in good spirits. Lazowski looking good.
Come on, Ronnie.
24.
You cannot get
Ursenbacher.
closer to a ball going into a pocket and not doing so than that. Look at this. Just graze that near jaw.
Amazing, wasn't it? I mean, how on earth has that stayed out? And 2 or 3 goes, didn't it?
1.
Sometimes it's very fine margins in this game, and I wonder if in about half an hour, 40 minutes, we're going to be saying that was the shot.
Six. Seven.
Nice enough split, although he's got a simple
14.
red to follow it.
Kyron Wilson through. He was well behind in the 4th frame against Mark Davis. He came back and won it on the final black. He's beaten Davis 4-0.
15. $18. 19.
It's rare this, Neil. Ronnie O'Sullivan starting off at the same time as 3 other matches. And he's going to be the last to finish.
Yeah, well, he's not actually been himself tonight, but we're not, in saying that, trying to take anything away from Alex Ursenbacher, who has played well
24.
for his lead. Just gone wrong, though, isn't it? Again, the cue ball runs too far. The left-handed shot here, not easy, this. I don't think he
Ronnie
completely
O'Sullivan,
left behind the previous
24.
shot there. He looked frustrated going into it to me.
And that is now 3 reds missed left-handed. All of them overcut.
One.
Well, this cue ball is running on and on here. Yes, the red will cut in, but without
6.
any degree of control of the cue ball. He shakes his head. He knows he's not delighted where it's finished. not bad, is it? He's been lucky
7.
there. He had no control over that, and it could have been a lot worse. He got slightly awkward queuing, but I think he'd have settled for finishing there.
Ronnie O'Sullivan has got wonderful ambidextrous skills, but tonight they've deserted him.
13.
You know, that smile from O'Sullivan was not one of great pleasure from the shop. More of, I think, a frustrated feeling about the way
14.
he's played tonight and just the overall performance against a man who, as we found out, is up for this task. Well, it's very much in his own hands from here.
19. 20.
Mom Florenza can hardly look, just hoping that the required balls go into the pocket and she can celebrate a victory with son Alexander.
Well, that might well be the shot. That cannon was played nicely. He could have got stuck between two reds there.
26.
All of a sudden, the winning line is in sight. Keeping
27.
it very close control. Going to need 2 more reds though, of the 3 remaining.
$33. 34.
So just running in behind that right-hand red, and all of a sudden this match is as good as over.
"28 years ago, Ronnie O'Sullivan captured this British Open title.
40.
In 2022, his stay at the tournament might be the most brief imaginable. It's all about this red. The throat is dry for Ursenbacher. He takes a drink of water, settles himself for a massive shot.
Thank you.
Neil, after a season of turmoil last season for Ursenbacher,
41.
this is a terrific triumph.
Yeah, it's very difficult. The middle rankings, or the middle reaches, if you like, of the ranking list. A lot of very capable players. Ursenbacher just
46.
demonstrating that here. You saw him pop match ball, look up to his members of his family in the crowd. They would have been delighted. I don't think Ronnie will carry on even if this is missed. And it's turning into one of those quirks where somebody's got a great record against one of the great players. I think Ronnie will concede.
Alexander Ursenbacher, 46. Frame and a match.
Indeed he does. Breaks of 69, 45, 51, and the contribution to get over the line, 46. Florenza is delighted, and rightfully so. Alexander Ursenbacher has created a seismic upset. He's beaten Ronnie O'Sullivan for the 3rd time, would you believe. He's through to the last 64 of the British Open, thanks to a memorable 4-1 victory.